Today I'm going to show you how to make 2 sets of traction boards that cost a fraction of what you'd pay in a store. First off, we're going to need a 2x6 that's 8 foot long, and we're going to cut this right in half. Now these two don't have to be perfectly the same length, but you do want them pretty close. Now starting with one of the boards, we want to make a few marks going up one of the sides. We're going to do this every 3 inches. So 3, 6, 9, and 12. Now I'm going to draw a line all the way across at each one of the marks we've made. I'm going to use a speed square to make this fast. If you don't have one, that's okay. Just make a mark on each side, making sure they're the same measurement, and draw a line across. Now we want to make a mark right in the middle of each of these lines. You don't have to be exact, but if you want to, just take your measuring tape out, find the halfway mark, and do like that. And after you do those middle marks, we want to then do a middle mark between the one you just made and the end. Or if you're going to measure it, it'd be about 1 3/8. So here and here. Then we're going to slide your boards off the edge of the table, make sure both of them are lined up, and probably a good idea to even clamp them together so they don't move around. Then I'm going to drill out each of these marks with a 3/8 inch bit. You can always pre-drill these holes with a smaller bit if you'd like. It might make it a little bit easier. It might be a little bit rough on the bottom, but that's okay. We'll cover that up later. By clamping them both together, that allows you to keep from having to drill a second board. Now I'm going to look on both sides of the boards, and whichever one has the roughest edge, I'm just going to go in, remove some of that real rough stuff, and that'll be the top now. And just using some sandpaper on it real quick can help as well. Next up, going to use some 3/8 inch bolts, nuts, and washers. I usually can buy these in some bulk to save some money. And again, the sides with the roughest edge, we're going to face up. We're going to use a washer and a bolt to go into each one of those holes. It might be a little bit of a tough fit to get in there, but if you have to, you can just hammer them in. Once you have all the bolts in, it's time to flip it over, but it's a good idea to do it over your workbench so you don't have all your bolts fall out. Now in each of these bolts, we want to add a nut so that it stays in place. Now if you happen to have a bunch of extra washers, you can add those as well, but you don't have to. Then I'm going to snug each of these up. We don't have to worry about them being super tight. We just want them to be snug. And your traction boards are now complete. Let me show you how to use them. When you get stuck, you want to clear a little spot out in front of your tire so you can easily slide these right in front. You want to have the bolts facing down, and that way you'll provide some extra traction for your tires, but they won't be overly aggressive. If for some reason you are still spinning with this side, you can then flip it over and repeat the process. The thing is, with this side, this is real aggressive. And if you go real fast with your tires or real hard with your tires, you can damage them. This right here, you need to go real slow with your tires. Take off very easily, and your tires can slowly grab on this and roll over it. So be careful if you use this side. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, this up here is still slick. You can still spin on it. And the thing about traction is once you get your tire rolling, once you get it coming out of that mud or sand, you don't really need to continue to have a bunch of grip going all the way up the board. This is just a flat surface. So as long as you come real slowly out of the hole and you're not spinning over here, once you get to this flat surface over here, you just continue to gradually roll and you shouldn't have a problem. But if you would like, you can always add some more bolts or any other type of traction here if you would like. That's totally up to you. Now, if you'd like to see these in action, I'll put a link up here and in the description, so make sure you check out that video. Overall, these traction boards should cost between $25 and $30 to make. Now these traction boards are great for larger vehicles, say like trucks or SUVs. Let me show you a cheaper, smaller version you can make for cars. Now for these boards, I'm going to use a cedar picket. These are usually pretty inexpensive, and I can get these for under $4. If you want to go something cheaper, you could possibly go with a pressure treated pine version, but I prefer the cedar just because there's less likely to have treatment in it, and you don't have to worry about getting that on you or in your vehicle as you're storing it. Fence pickets usually come in 6-foot lengths, so I'm going to cut this in half at 3 feet. Might be a little bit hard to see, but these boards are cupped a little bit. So the way I'm going to build this is with the U shape facing up. In other words, like this, and that should allow it to grab the tire a little bit better. Now to save a little bit of money, instead of using bolts with this setup, I'm just going to use some screws. Similar to the other boards, we're going to have 3 screws going across, but we're going to have these a little bit closer because the contact patch of a tire for a car is usually much smaller than a truck. And with these boards, I decided to go 2 inches apart. And since these boards are so thin, I'm definitely going to pre-drill all these holes, or there's a very good chance I would crack this. And I'm just going to be using some basic 1 1/4 inch screws. Now this side to go towards your tires, and this side to go towards the ground. Now the great thing about having the screws only on one side, if you place the sharp edges facing each other on opposite corners here, you can put them together and you don't have to worry about getting stabbed as they're being stored away. And to keep them together, I like to use just some large rubber bands. If you don't have those, you can always just use some straps. If you enjoyed this project, I have some other car related videos right over here, so make sure you check them out.